Imagine this. You dream of a better life, a stable job, and financial security. So you do what you're told is the right thing, you go to college. But a few years in, something happens. Maybe it's the skyrocketing costs, or the pressure of supporting your family. You have no choice but to drop out. Now, you're stuck with thousands of dollars in student debt and no degree to show for it. Sound familiar? You're not alone. In fact, 40% of people with student loans didn't graduate college at all. They're left paying for a future that never materialized. We talk about the student loan crisis all the time, but we're talking about it all wrong. And it's time we face the real issue. Why are millions of Americans buried in debt without a degree? In today's video, we're going to break down the numbers, reveal the hidden stories, and explore why student debt isn't just a crisis of too much borrowing, it's a crisis of broken dreams. Let's get real. The student debt numbers aren't what you think first, let's talk about the numbers. We hear a lot about student loan debt, but it's often misunderstood. There's $1.75 trillion in outstanding student loans in America. That's a staggering number, enough to fund entire countries' annual budgets. And it's held by around 45 million people. That averages out to about $39,000 per borrower. But here's where things get interesting, and honestly, a little shocking. Most people assume that the typical borrower is a recent college graduate, fresh out of school with nearly $40,000 in debt. But that's not the case at all. The reality is much more complicated. In fact, 35% of students graduate with zero debt. Yeah, no loans at all. Surprised? I was too. That means it's actually just 65% of students carrying the student loan burden. And that average of $39,000? It's not what they come out of school with. That's the leftover debt after they've been paying it down, or failing to, as the interest piles up. But here's where things get even weirder. The average student graduating from a four-year college today only has about $28,000 in debt. So how does that match up with the average student loan holder having $39,000? The answer, and here's the plot twist, graduate school. Doctors, lawyers, and others who pursue graduate degrees tend to rack up massive amounts of debt, but they're also more likely to pay it off. Here's the bizarre part. The more debt someone takes on, the less likely they're to default on their loans. Wait, what? How does that make sense? The counterintuitive reality of student loans, it sounds crazy, but it's true. People who take out larger loans are often the ones going to professional schools, law, medicine, business, and these people generally earn more after graduating. So while their debt might be huge, their potential to pay it off is much better. That's why they're less likely to default. But here's where things get really troubling. The people who are most likely to default on their loans aren't the ones with huge debts from medical school. They're the ones who never finished college at all. Yes, 40% of people with student loans didn't graduate. Let that sink in for a second. These are people who took out loans to get an education, to create a better life for themselves, but for one reason or another, they never got the degree. Think about it. Many of these people are first-generation college students, from low-income areas, or minorities who never had the same support systems. They were promised that education was the path to success, but they never made it to the finish line. Now, they're stuck with debt they can't afford to repay, and they don't even have a degree to help them earn more money. These are not just numbers. These are real people. Maybe it's someone in your family. Maybe it's you. Why is this happening? The hidden crisis of college dropouts. So, why are 40% of student loan holders dropping out of college? It's not because they're lazy or don't want to succeed. It's because the system is failing them. There are two main reasons why students drop out. Financial pressure. College isn't just about tuition. It's also about the money you're not earning while you're in school. For many students, especially those from low-income backgrounds, that near-term loss of income is unbearable. Add to that the rising costs of supporting their families, and suddenly, staying in school becomes impossible. Academic disqualification. A lot of students, especially those from underfunded high schools, arrive at college underprepared. They struggle to keep up, and without the right support, they're disqualified academically before they ever have a chance to succeed. These issues aren't the students' fault. They are failures of the system, a system that's supposed to help them succeed, but instead leaves them burdened by debt, with no degree and no way out. Why aren't we talking about this more? Why aren't we addressing the fact that millions of Americans are drowning in student debt without the degree they were promised would lead to a better life? When we talk about student loan forgiveness, we often overlook this critical group. These are people who didn't fail. They were failed by the system, by financial pressures, by a lack of support. And when we forgive debt, 40% of the people benefiting from that forgiveness are the ones who never finished college. They're carrying an average of $13,000 in debt, and they have no degree to help them pay it off. A call for change. Not just debt forgiveness, but real support. It's clear. We need to take on the student debt crisis, but we also need to take on the dropout crisis. One-time debt forgiveness won't fix this broken system. We need to support students before they drop out. We need to help them make better decisions earlier in their education process. We need to provide resources, mentorship, and affordable access to education that works for everyone, not just the privileged few. That's why programs like Crash Course and Arizona State University's partnership are so important. They're working to provide the resources students need to succeed, before it's too late. From academic support to financial guidance, these programs are stepping in where the system is failing, and it's time more schools followed suit. The student loan crisis isn't just about numbers. It's about people. It's about the 40% who started the journey but never got to finish it. It's about the people who were let down by a system that promised to help them achieve the American dream, but instead left them with a mountain of debt and no degree to show for it. We can't fix this problem with a one-time solution. We need to address the root causes, from the high costs of education to the support systems that are failing students. If this video resonated with you, if you believe it's time for real change, hit the like button, share this with someone who needs to hear it, and let's start a conversation. Because the student debt crisis is about so much more than just numbers. It's about people. And we need to do better.